He was a man, they say he was simple. He took less than a day had time. You could see in his eyes just what he lived for.
Morning, everybody. Trapper Dan out on the Trapline. It's a cold one this morning. I don't know, some of those snowy mornings seemed warmer. Well, it's official. I'm going to be tripping off my predator traps. It's a little sad, but here's the deal. We're getting 6 to 11 inches or something of wet snow tonight, kind of into tomorrow morning and tomorrow. And there's only so much a guy can do. I would love to get out here in my snowshoes and do the trap line, but unfortunately I have a business and I have to shovel and plow and snow blow, and I just don't want to leave any critters out here too long in those conditions. So let's see what we have this morning. If we don't have anything, or if we do, we're gonna trip off the predator line. I decided I'm gonna take you along on the ATV to help take the traps out on the predator line, so hang on, we're gonna go fast. Well, someone came in and messed up this bobcat cubby. Mr. Possum. They're just getting into everything. Well, doing a baited set for trapping coyotes is still not a bad idea, but the ones that I was trying to get out of this grassy area, they were too smart for me. They're pressured on hunting and trapping in here, so let's go and trip these traps off. One is right over in here. Just set the boot on it and pops right off. They're still not really into this deer. I got a roadkill in another spot that I didn't put there. It's just a roadkill, and that deer was broken into in the first night. So this is where the kids were walking around. I have one trap right here. Set that one off. And I was surprised those kids didn't see it, but the drag chain was laying right here across the grass. Moving over to the trap that I have in here. And boy, this grass really got laid down. So let's pull this chain up. And here's the trap right here. And I'm gonna take this one with me. The other traps are on ground anchors, so I'm gonna be coming around after the snowstorm and pulling all those ground anchors out. So I will leave those ones this morning. But this one's going in the ATV. Cubby number 2. Popping off the traps. Well, you can see this is messed up here, and I didn't show you the other day, but what's going on here is that hole is really deep with the bait in it, so they're really digging at that, but they're missing the trap, which is right there. And then this back here almost looks like a coyote was scratching out, but I checked it out and it's a deer. So there were deer kind of messing in the straw here. So I have 3 traps in here as well, so we'll pull the rest of these. This cubby's all messed up, and we can see who did it. Mr. Possum. Yep. Caught a lot of possums and took out a lot of nest raiders. Well, tripped off the hay set here, and what I'm going to do is I have a quick link here, so I'm just going to undo this quick link and then tie a blue tape to my ground anchor so I can pull these out, because obviously they're right in the middle of the farmer's field, and I don't want to leave cables out here for them to scoop up with their farm equipment. Yep, all set, and then I'll get back out here when the ground's not so frozen and before they do any farm work and get these cables out. Oh my gosh, what a mess my ATV is. I should have brought the trailer and a bucket today, but just trying to pull out quickly. Well, I'm in checking the beaver sets. We got a little bit of ice last night, so it's over my trap, which is right down in here. And remember, the beaver caster's on that little stick right there, so nothing happening on that set. The main pond is way out here. These are actually really deep waterways. And then the beaver lodge is over back in there. And I know how to get to it from the other side. In New York State, we can't trap on the lodge. Yeah, a lot of new sticks on top that weren't there last year. So I think after the snowstorm, I'm gonna work my way in closer. I think we have to be 15 feet away from the actual lodge with traps by the state laws. But there's gotta be more than one beaver in here. And we'll try some other tactics. This morning we started pulling the predator traps. I'm a little sad. I've been out since November. What's like 3.5 months of every single day checking your traps. Got through about a week and a half of the flu. Todd helped me out and check some things, but that's what's awesome about trapping is you're out every day and you're experiencing nature and you're really witnessing what's going on. Hey, you know, the best trappers don't think they're the best. Yep, that's what it's all about. Just learning all the time. Learning all the time. And this year was a big learning year for me. My season definitely caught the most fox I've ever caught. And I wasn't even really targeting them, but I figured out how to keep catching fur. My biggest target animal was bobcat. And I didn't get any on this walking line in here, and I definitely won't, because I am pulling out today of this walking line, and that bobcat who keeps walking around in here is gonna have a nice another year, and we'll see about what we can do next year differently. Thanks so much for coming along on the predator line. I'm gonna miss you. I might try to be more nimble next year. I mean, it's hard to be a nimble trapper, and what I mean by nimble is moving your traps, doing adjustments, working on finding out on the cameras where they're walking, learning the property. On those 500 acres of farmland, it was my first season, so I really just learned the lay of the land, and I had some honey holes, and I had some spots that didn't do anything. And there's probably about 200 acres I didn't even get onto because the farmer wasn't able to cut the corn because it was too wet. And then when they did cut the corn, I never really got in there. Hoo-wee. Taking all these traps out without my sled. Geez, I'm not too smart. I'm just gonna stash a few things so they're easier to get to later. But you know what else I learned? Remember the Hags slide system? Anybody who hasn't watched my other videos, I started using Jeff Haggerty's system. I'm gonna pop this trap off, and we're coming back for that one. The Hag slide is a chain that you anchor on two ends. One end is at your trap set, and one end is at wherever you want your critter to go to. And it's a good way to ethically trap, to keep your animal out of sight of people, especially if you're in your spot where you can't have a drag and you don't know where they're gonna go. Well, I am transitioning all of those Hag slide chains to my beaver sets. Hey, so I'm in the fur shed doing a little prep for beaver trapping now that I'm moving out of predators and into beaver. In previous years, I used cable. Well, you can see there's pros and cons, right? Using cables, one of the pros is that they're very light, so it's easy if you're hiking into places to bring them in. But the con is that they are really kinky. Once they get used enough and they, animals can get kinks in them, they're a pain in the butt, and they put holes in your fingers when you're trying to handle them. And so I'm transitioning to chains. So I just wanted to show you how I'm doing that. What I've done in the past, well, let's just talk about how it works, right? It's basically a piece of hardware which is one way. So it'll slide down the chain, but it won't go back. So when the animal's in the trap, and you hold the trap, right? So I can't get the trap to go back. So I set it up so the trap slides down the chain and it won't go back. And we use this on land to move our catch into hidden places for ethical trapping, just to get them hidden away in the brush. But now in water, we're going to use it on the weighted, it's called a drowning set for beaver. So the weighted end is these window weights here, and these you can find on Facebook Marketplace, or anybody who's changing from old farmhouse windows or something in their house to new windows. They'll have a bunch of these to give you. In the past, when I didn't have enough of them, I take jugs and fill them with sand and rocks. By the way, it takes about 3 of these. 2 is not enough. The beaver drag these around pretty easily. And so in any case, this one's a new chain, but I'm going to use some of my chains from my predator lines and just move them over to this. And you have this end of the chain has a quick link on it, so I can put cable on here, a shorter cable if I want, to attach it to a tree, or just wrap it around a tree or a root or anything to anchor it, and then set up my trap. And then my trap is on a swivel, so that if that beaver is caught and spinning around, they can spin as much as they want. They're not going to spin out because This has double swivels on it. There's a swivel here and a swivel down here. And then, of course, the Hag slide. Jeff Haggerty did come out with a fiberglass rod system, and you can use re-rod that the trap would slide on. The re-rod's kind of hard for me to get around because my trapping car is a Honda Fit and I can't fit all that re-rod in there, or the fiberglass poles. Although I like the fiberglass poles, it's just another investment I'm not ready for yet. So I'm moving to chain. My trap is going to be on the Black Widow stand. So this trap will rest on the stand, and I can put the stand into the bank this way, or I could put it in sideways like this and put the trap onto it. So that's a really nice, this is a Jeff Dunlap invention, and this is a Jeff Haggerty invention. I guess the downside to the chain is it's going to be a little bit heavy when I have a bunch of them, but I love that it's not going to get kinked up and become a big sort of rat's nest of cable. And I'm setting up about, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these. So this is one of my beaver sets. I'll be using some 330 Conibears too, but honestly I have a lot more success with foothold traps on beaver, so I'm going to be going with this mostly. We're in the fur shed with Owen Mulligan and his dad Jeff. And Owen got his first raccoon this morning. Congratulations. So Owen and Jeff and I actually took a trapping, what was it called? The Elite Trapping Seminar. And it was given or hosted by Chappie, Mark Charpentier in the Catskills. And he brought in some of the best trappers in the country, at least, you know, if anybody knows anything about trapping, you know these names. Jeff Dunlap, Sarah Gomez. She has She Traps and Dunlap lures and baits. And Jeff does a ton on YouTube with showing people how to trap. And who else we had? Tommy Haggerty, Jeff Haggerty, who is, you know, just I talk about him all the time because we're using his chain slide system. And Tommy Bryant.
Yep.
Who, yeah, he's a really big coyote live market trapper down south. Gets a, you know, something like 400 to 600 canine. Actually, at the end of the trapping seminar, the guys were so nice. I think Mark actually gave you some traps and stuff.
Yep.
And so how'd you get this raccoon?
So I had a dog proof set up for targeting raccoon for almost the entirety of the season, and I had a camera set up on it, and every night I could see they weren't committing to it. They were running by, they could smell it, they were interested in it, but they never committed to it. So last night I decided to put a foothold out and set that in the middle of the game trail. They were going up and down, see if I could catch them walking by, and it looked like he had gone into the dog proof, maybe set it off, didn't get trapped, backed up and hit the foothold because he did get caught on the back leg. But yeah, went out, set it yesterday, went out this morning and found this guy.
Yeah, so success, good job. Yeah. I don't know how a raccoon could actually set off a DP without getting trapped.
Unless he had it in and somehow got it out.
I think he was set off.
I think either at one point he was trapped in, got trapped in the back leg, maybe pulled out. Yeah. I don't know.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, but this is just for our viewers who haven't seen this, because we covered it on a separate video, but this is the DP, right? It's a dog-proof trap. So did you have some bait down in there?
Yeah, so I had some bait down in there, and at one point I did have a golf ball on top.
Yeah, keep the mice out.
Yeah, the golf ball somewhere over there. I couldn't find it in the snow this morning, but...
Yeah. So this spring here is in, right? And when you reach in there and pop the trigger, this is going to pop back and hold his arm in there. And so it's kind of like that. So that pops open and now his arm would be held. So, you know, I'm sure it's happened where they pop off and miss him, but I wonder if that surprised him and then he backed up into your foothold. So yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, you did what I'm calling right now being a nimble trapper, making adjustments and, you know, seeing what happens on the camera. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna skin this raccoon and help Owen out with his first skinning. The first thing you want to do, Owen, is you want to brush him out. So we have a fur comb. I have a couple of different ones. That one's a nice strong one.
Is there a certain direction you want me going?
I usually try to go with the fur first from head to feet, but then the other way too. You know, so we're trying to make sure that there's no burrs and we get any dirt or debris out. The place where you're going to find the most burrs or ticks or anything is wherever the animals can't get to, so it's like their neck and behind their ears. They just want to feel there. Also, raccoons and foxes and coyotes, all of them, you know, they have these big bushy tails, so they're really good at collecting burrs. And sometimes you can tell they're deep in there and the animal can't even clean them out, so they've been there for a long time. And you just feel like I don't feel any in this one, so we're good. So once we get them brushed out, the first step we're going to do, we see we have a boar here, a male. We're going to do what they call the money cut. Yeah, that's pretty good. So for that, we're going to lower him down a little bit, make it easier. Well, how awesome is that? Owen got his first fur catch. That's a milestone, like, you know, catching your first fish or getting your first small or big game. He's also now hooked. Yeah, it was fun to help him skin the raccoon out yesterday. Speaking of mentors, one of mine is Mark Charpentier, and also known as Chappie. He's the guy we mentioned was the leader of the elite trapping seminar in the Catskills. The first time I met Mark was probably about 7 years ago. I was buying some used traps off of Facebook Marketplace, and right away I knew he was like a great guy. I really admire his knowledge and his generosity. He helped me out just in a few minutes with some trapping tips and, you know, gave me some lures to try. So he is going to be my special guest on the next Trapline Talk. Mark is coming to my fur shed. He's going to critique my fur handling, which I'm afraid to point out a lot of mistakes I made, but that's all good. I want to learn. And he's going to help me put up the coyote, and we'll have some fox and raccoon. So that whole Trapline Talk might be in the fur shed with Mark, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. Remember, trap or snore, sustainable, natural, organic, and renewable resource. Have a good one, everybody.